Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 7, the sacrifice performed by Dakṣa. Okay, so we are again back to Dakṣa sacrifice. The sacrifice performed by Dakṣa it began, miserably failed, Daksha lost his life, and now we are back to this chapter. Okay, so previous chapter there were some queries yesterday we could not take up. So any discussion from previous thing?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavata Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats, yes.
Prabhuji, while discussing the previous chapter, I remember you once mentioned that devotees, they can take themselves out of mode of passion and come to mode of goodness. So I was wondering, how do they do it? Please, if you can speak about this a little bit.
I mean, I will just speak my understanding. And so basically, where the modes come in picture. Modes come in picture, there is, when we are giving response to any stimulus, there the modes are going to come in the picture. So while being continuously in particular, especially in the mode of Sattva-guna may be difficult, but if we can just modulate our response properly, like, something goes against our will, and, something has happened that which should not happen. Maybe small thing, it may be bigger thing or something like that. Any small thing, something like, the husband has forgotten to wish birthday, or, he has forgotten to, the marriage anniversary, or the child has broken something in the house. So naturally there is, some anger simmering inside, or so what it means is, the first way to be in the mode of sattva guna is one has to modulate one's response, and response of all three. Bhagavad Gita talks about three kinds of tapasya, right? That there is a tapasya of the sharira, there is a shariram tapochyate, there is a manasik tapasya, and then tapasya of the speech. So bodily, we have to come in the mode of goodness. That means our expressions, our body language, how we conduct ourselves in the particular setup. Mind, we have to come in the mode of goodness by slowly practicing giving a right response. It is not that we cannot become angry or will not become angry, but that has to be in a controlled proportion. And speech also one has to be that, not that I am angry, I will blurt out anything. That is not the way. And this takes time, this takes practice, this takes age also, right? Somebody who is in 18, 19, 20, teenage kind of a personality, so he needs that to do something, that drive which may be taken as Rajoguna, but not drive is always not Rajoguna. So it is like that. So this is one very prominent thing, is that how we respond to a stimulus, something happening in our life, how we respond. Another thing is, what is our general frame of mind in the day? Generally, Duryodhana was always in gussa only. He used to just take a sword and keep walking. Generally very envious, generally very angry. This is the extreme combo of Rajoguna, Tamoguna. Extreme combo of Sattva-guna was Yudhishthir Maharaj. And he was always very equipoised and always, that was a natural setup. Right. Again, this comes from one's swabhava also. If somebody is a lion-like personality, naturally, but within that also one can be a very ferocious lion, or one can be little, peaceful lion, like that also. So one is how we respond, another is how we conduct oneself. And third, of course, the root of everything is understanding of the Bhagavad Gita, understanding three modes of material nature, practicing devotional service. And then there are a few more things also. Sometimes, personally, I realize that if you have very wrong expectations from anybody, so wrong expectations from people, very high expectations from oneself or one's activities, it can lead to extreme mode of passion. So that is a physical exertion. There also modes come in picture. That excessive certain activity may lead to mode of tamoguna, mode of rajoguna. Excessive sleep may lead to tamoguna. Excessive passionate activities, may lead to rajoguna or something like that. So, so one has to, of course, then performance of devotional service. Devotional service is there, like it's like it will establish oneself on the Sambandha Gyan, and by understanding Bhagavad Gita, understanding knowledge, understanding tapasya. Another way of coming into mode of Sattva-guna is also what we eat, right? So I realized great difference when we shifted to organic diet. And nowadays organic has become, quite a trendy thing. There is organic milk available, there is organic fruits and vegetables are available, there is organic greens are available, slightly costly. But if you take the annual budget, your organic, your daily ingredients cost plus medicine is far lesser than organic food cost, right? So these are some of the holistic changes that we can make. This is how we have made, whatever little bit of sattva guna that we are able to come to, that this is what the changes we have made. Reducing expectations. This is one huge thing, reducing expectations is also very important thing. Sometimes we have very, very high expectations, and that may lead to, that doesn't mean we should become like a vegetable, no ambition, no emotion, not like that. But within that also, sometimes people join some manifestation group and they will just write Mercedes here and Bentley there, Porsche there, house is filled with all that, and people go mad actually. So that doesn't mean we should not grow. Of course we have to grow in life, but it has to be in the growth has to be in the mode of sattva guna. I hope something from this.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, anything else? So we move on to the next chapter, that is chapter 7. So this chapter is divided into 6 sections. The sacrifice performed by Dakṣa. So what happens is, the section 1 is text 1 to 12. So here Lord Śiva revives Dakṣa's life, because Lord Śiva is smilingly, he accepts all the prayers by Lord Brahma, and he is going to revive Dakṣa's life. The next section is, this is 1 to 12. Next section is 13 to 15. Dakṣa's prayers to Lord Śiva. Now Dakṣa has come back to life, and here he is going to come back to life in a very different way. But now his prayer to Lord Śiva, that is the second section, 13 to 15. Next is 16 to 25. And this is, Dakṣa starts the sacrifice, and now Lord Viṣṇu is going to arrive. So he begins the sacrifice, and there are certain oblations. Puro Daksha oblations are being offered. Lord Hari appears when Daksha offers this particular sacrifice and the Yajurvedic mantra. And then as soon as the Lord appears, there is a beautiful description of the form of the Lord. And then the devatas, they begin to offer respects and prayers to the Supreme Lord. And this is how they want to receive the Lord's mercy. So all this is between 16 to 25. Next is 26 to 47. So 26 to 47, devatas have begun to offer the prayers. And now devatas are going to offer the prayers according to their own capacity. And the beautiful thing is, from the prayer that devatas are offering, they are so genuinely offering prayers. And at the same time, you can make out also this is prayer by devata. And then when we go to some super class prayers, like prayers by Prahlad Maharaj, prayers by Vritrasur, one will see also the limitations of the devatas' prayers, because devatas are still Sakama devotees, Sakama Bhakta. Whereas personality like Prahlad Maharaj, Vritrasur, Ambarish Maharaj, they are the pure devotees of the Lord without any tinge of material desires, right? Or material asking from the Supreme Lord. So these are the prayers of Devata from 26 to 47. From 48 to 54, Lord instructs Daksha. So here the Lord is pleased and he addresses Daksha. So although such a catastrophe, devotional service is such that one can always come back, one can always restart, one can always, there is always the opportunity to please the Supreme Lord. So Daksha again picks up, and Lord is pleased now and he is talking to Daksha. And further, Lord describes that how devatas are also my integral parts and parcels, and this is how. And then later, from 55 to 61, this is a long chapter, Daksha is going to complete the sacrifice. Finally, the Daksha Yajña is over, and it is brilliantly over. Lord Viṣṇu has arrived, Lord Viṣṇu has taken darshan, Daksha has come back to life, and the whole thing is settled. Only two things have happened which are irreparable. One is Satī has lost her life. She is not going to come back as Satī. And second, Daksha has lost his head and it is replaced with a goat's head, and he has to live his entire life with a goat's head. So this is how these 6 sections are. So we begin with the first section, that is text 1 to 12. Text 1. One second. Yeah. Maitreya uvacha ityajena bhavena paritupyata abhyadhayi mahabhaho prahasya shriyatamiti. Translation.
Sage Maitreya said, O mighty armed Vidura, Lord Śiva, being thus pacified by the words of Lord Brahma, spoke as follows in answer to Lord Brahma's request. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Lord Śiva was pacified by these words of Lord Brahma, and he began his answer. Text 2. Mahadeva uvacha naham prajesha balanam varnayenanuchintaye devamaya abhibhutanam dandatatras dhrutomaya. Translation.
Lord Shiva said, My dear father, Brahma, I do not mind the offenses created by the demigods, because these demigods are childish and less intelligent. I do not take a serious view of their offenses, and I have punished them only in order to right them. Purport. There are two types of punishment. One is that which a conqueror imposes on an enemy, and the other is like that a father imposes on his son. There is a gulf of difference between these two kinds of punishment. Lord Shiva is by nature a Vaishnava, a great devotee, and his name in this connection is Ashutosha. He is always satisfied, and therefore he did not become angry as if he were an enemy. He is not inimical to any living entity. Rather, he always wishes the welfare of all. Whenever he chastises a person, it is like a father's punishment of his son. Lord Shiva is like a father because he never takes seriously any offenses by any living entities, especially the demigods. Hare Krishna.
Mahadeva Uvacha. Lord Shiva said, and my dear father Brahmaji, I do not mind the offenses created by the demigods. Why? They are childish. All their aspirations are childish. They want to enjoy the material world, and thus they are less intelligent. So here the less intelligent is not about the intelligence, it is about the aspirations to enjoy the material world and the identification with the body. And that's why they are called as less intelligent. They identify themselves with matter more identification with matter, and more enjoyment of the material world. I do not take serious view of their offenses. It's like the mother picks up the child, and child is angry, and child is hitting the legs to the mother, kicking the mother with the legs, and mother is mother will not take the offense. "Kya tumne mujhe kick mara karke." Its mother is not going to take that way. So this is how Mahadev, he says that I punish them only so that I can set things right for them. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport there are two types of punishment. One punishment is by the conqueror imposing on the enemy, which is like very excruciating pain and misery will be there. Another punishment is by father to the child or mother to the child, where mother or father may also tightly slap the child only to correct the child. So Mahadev is the father of the universe, right? From him, Mahadev and the Devi Maya, Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti, Rekha. They are like the father and mother of the universe, material world. And therefore, he's Ashutosh. He's always very satisfied. And he is not an enemy of anybody. His greatest well-wisher, he's the greatest devotee. And his punishing devatas was just like the father's punishment to the child. Text 3. Prajapate dagdakshirishno bhavatya ajat ajamukham shiraha mitrasya chakshushe ksheta bhagam sva barhisho bhagaha. Translation.
Lord Shiva continued, since the head of Dakṣa has already been burned to ashes, he will have the head of a goat. The demigod known as Bhaga will be able to see his share of sacrifice through the eyes of Mitra.
Certain personalities had lost certain things. So the Daksha, Lord Shiva said, Daksha's head is already burnt, right? So, but Daksha, let him have the head of a goat, Ajamukha. Ajamukha means Bakareka move, right? So he will have the head of a goat. So head of a goat, there was the Indian cricket team captain, Tiger Pataudi. He had eyes of the goat. So, this was and it was in medical science, it was till then it was considered to be very, 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 very mythological that somebody can have a head of a goat. But medical science has progressed to the point of having eyes of the goat and certain bodily parts being replaced by animals' bodily parts. Maybe if modern science goes ahead and medical science may go ahead, later we may see as Kali Yuga progresses, people having head of a goat, head of a tiger, head of a lion, and all those things are possible. So Vedas it is not mythology. It is our limitation, and therefore we think it is mythology. Right. Now people may say, Ajo Mukha, and he has the head of a goat. But at least, the modern science has reached to the point of eyes of the goat. And this is like way 30, 40 years back, he had eyes of the goat. So this is Ajamukha. The demigod known as Bhaga will be able to see the share of his sacrifice through the eyes of Mitra. So Bhaga and Mitra, they are close friends. And Bhaga will use the eyes of Mitra. And therefore, this is how his chakshu will be taken care of. Text 4. Pushatu yajamanasya dadhi jakshatu pishtabhuk devah prakrita sarvanga yeme ucheshanam daduhu. Translation.
The demigod Pusha will be able to chew only through the teeth of his disciples. And if alone, he will have to satisfy himself by eating dough made from chickpea flour. But the demigods who have agreed to give me my share of sacrifices will recover from all their injuries. Purport. The demigod Pusha became independent on his disciples for chewing. Otherwise, he was allowed to swallow only dough made of chickpea flour. Thus, his punishment continued. He could not use his teeth for eating, since he had laughed at Lord Śiva, deriding him by showing his teeth. In other words, it was not appropriate for him to have teeth, for he had used them against Lord Śiva. Hare Krishna.
So, demigod Pusha, he will be able to chew only through his disciples. So, Lord Shiva is not completely, it's not a complete recovery. Not that everybody got everything and all, no, everything. So, therefore, whenever sometimes people say, नहीं प्रभु जी सब भूल जाते हैं हम लोग इतना close friend है. I know two people. They say that प्रभु जी we are so close friend, we just keep fighting and then बस 2 दिन के बाद सब कुछ भूल जाते हैं. But there will be one fight which will be irrecoverable. And even if it recovers, it will not be same as it was previous. Right? And therefore, it is always better to follow Vaishnava etiquettes, even with the close friend, even with very close friend also. One will say, no, Prabhuji, will not the life be... No, life doesn't become mechanical by that. Following Vaishnava etiquettes is very important. Some things are irrecoverable, and especially in relationship, and one has to be very aware of these things. One cannot take people for granted. Simply what it means is. So now it is not that everybody got everything back and they live happily ever after. This is not going to happen. Daksha lost his head. Lost means lost. He had that all Tejapunja head, which is like the 3 suns walking inside. That was the potency. Now there is a sunrise here in India. One can see the sun. We cannot watch. Daksha was like 3 times sun. Now he has a Bakre ka head. Right. Now here, Pusha, his teeth are not going to come back. He has to chew only through his disciples. Otherwise, some chickpea flour he has to use it. He had shown his teeth to laugh at Lord Shiva, and that was a Vaishnava aparad. And Lord Shiva did not excuse him fully. So Lord Shiva is fulfilling desires of Lord Brahma, but they are not fully recover. I mean, it's not that it's 100% recovery of everything. No, there is a loss. So therefore, one has to be very careful in one's, how one picks up one's life, how one picks up one's fights, even with very close friends and even with very close relatives. We cannot take people for granted, right? Because everything may not be restored back as it is. We think it has, but it will not be. Text 5. बाहुभ्यामाश्विनो पूष्णः हस्ताभ्यां कृतबाहवः भवन्तु अर्धर्यवश्च भवन्तु अर्धयवश्चान्ये बस्तश्रश्मु भृग भवेत्. Translation.
Those who have
Those,
had their... Yes, Mataji.
go ahead, Prabhuji. Those who have had their arms cut off will have to work with the arms of Ashwini Kumara, and those whose hands were cut off will have to do their work with the hands of Pusha. The priest will also have to act in that manner. As for Bhrigu, he will have the beard from the goat's head. Purport: Bhrigu Muni, a great supporter of Daksha, was awarded the beard of a goat's head, which was substituted for the head of Daksha. It appears from the exchange of Daksha's head that the modern scientific theory that the brain substance is the cause of all intelligent work is not valid. The brain substance of Daksha and that of a goat are different, but Daksha still acted like himself, even though his head was replaced by that of a goat. The conclusion is that it is the particular consciousness of an individual soul which acts. The brain substance is only an instrument which has nothing to do with real intelligence. The real intelligence, mind, and consciousness are part of the particular individual soul. It will be found in the verses ahead that after Daksha's head was replaced by goat's head, he was as intelligent as he had previously been. He prayed very nicely to satisfy Lord Shiva and Lord Viṣṇu, which is not possible for a goat to do. Therefore, it is definitely concluded that the brain substance is not the center of intelligence. It is the consciousness of a particular soul that works intelligently. The whole movement of Krishna consciousness is to purify the consciousness. It doesn't matter what kind of brain one has, because if he simply transfer his consciousness from matter to Krishna, his life becomes successful. It is confirmed by Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness achieves the highest perfection of life, regardless of whatever abominable condition of life he may have fallen into. Especially anyone in Krishna consciousness goes back to Godhead, back home, living his present material body. Hare Krishna.
So now the other demigods who had cut off their arms, they will have to work through the arms of Ashwini Kumaras. Those who have cut off their hands, they will work through the hands of Pusha. And priests, they also have to act in similar way. As for Bhrigu, his mustache was taken off, then he will have the beard from the goat's head. So this is the recovery that Lord Shiva granted everyone. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains Bhrigu Muni was a great supporter of Dakṣa, because Dakṣa was, when Dakṣa was being cursed and counter-cursed, it was Bhrigu who came first. And then he created all those, the devatas, and they drove away Shivanugas. Therefore, Bhrigu wasn't the target of, then Bhrigu was also punished. And Prabhupada says, the modern theory here, Daksha's head was replaced. But although Daksha's head was replaced along with the brain of Daksha, but intelligence of Daksha still remained. So the modern theory that the brain is the origin of the intelligence is not valid, right? The intelligence doesn't come from brain. Intelligence comes from the soul, consciousness, and it is reflected through brain, right? Eyes don't see. Eye is only an instrument to see. It is the soul who sees through the eye. Otherwise, the dead body also has an eye with perfect chemical combination, material combination that eye has, right? So, these days people have stored brain of Einstein, and they are trying to find out what was in the brain. Brain of Einstein was just an instrument. It was the person Einstein who was thinking through brain. Brain was not thinking. Correct. So Prabhupada writes here, the modern theory that the brain substance is the cause of an intelligent work is not valid. The brain substance of Daksha and that of a goat are definitely different. But when Daksha is revived with the head of a goat, Daksha is going to offer high-class prayers to Lord Shiva and to Lord Viṣṇu when Lord Viṣṇu arrives, which a goat cannot offer, right? Even the goat cannot speak also. The goat will speak only, all that. But Daksha is going to speak the choicest poetry in pleasure of Lord Shiva, for the pleasure of Lord Viṣṇu, which is far beyond the possibility of a goat doing so. And therefore, Prabhupada says, it is definitely concluded that the brain substance is not the center of the intelligence. It is the consciousness of a particular soul that works intelligently. Right? And therefore, Prabhupada says, and therefore, the whole Krishna consciousness mission is based on Krishna Bhavana, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Right? Consciousness. When we transfer our consciousness from matter to spirit and transfer ultimately to Krishna, our life becomes successful regardless of where we are currently in. However, abominable condition. Prabhupada, especially when he was preaching to hippies, this and that. And, and Prabhupada says, currently one may be, but because he's transferring his consciousness, it will have tremendous impact on the brain substance as well. Apichet sudaracharo. Vajate mamananya bhak. Right. One may be fallen to any condition, but Krishna consciousness is transcendental. And by simply application of Krishna consciousness, what happens is that one will have purified brain substance, because one is purifying consciousness. This is a very important thing. And thus, everybody has the ability, everybody has the possibility to go back home, back to Godhead after leaving this present material body. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Vinayak Prabhu is asking one question.
Yes, Prabhu.
What is the reason Daksha's head was replaced by goat head?
Why particularly goat like that?
Yes, yes.
Acha, acha. Oh, I have to find out why exactly goat.
Mhm.
I will get back to you.
Yes.
Maybe we have to refer to Prabhupada didn't write like anything on this. Some Acharya commentary, they may have written something around it.
Okay. Very good.
We'll discuss tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.